This is Mongolian Mindset, and today we're going to be responding to one of our subscribers, Xav, X-A-V. Joe Rogan next, okay? So we're going to do Joe Rogan today. And our sworn enemy personality database has Joe Rogan as an ESTP with 461 votes. So you guys know we're going to break them down using interactions and temperaments from Linda Barrens and some cognitive functions. We'll figure out if he really is an ESTP or not. We will have an interview this weekend with John Beebe. So that's going to be interesting. He is the creator of the 8-function model. So that's going to be interesting. Join in for that. Well, let's go look at the chart. The chart here, ESTPs are direct. They're initiating their control or outcome. Concrete, interest, and pragmatic. They're TEFI users and SENI users. So we'll see. And we are still doing free typing sessions. Some people charge up to $500. I think the going rate now is like $100. So we're doing this for free. So do that while you can. All you have to do is join our Facebook group and message our moderator. He's one of the moderators, Cody, and send him your availability. And we'll set that up and get that done. One of our goals is to have the most accurate MBTI group. It's a little bit more than MBTI. We talk about everything there. We talk about finances. We talk about relationships. We talk about courting, health, fitness, just overall growing your intelligence, what books we're reading, what books we have read, stuff like that. Like I said, I've been working out for 14 years now. I've bench over 400 pounds, squat over 500 pounds. So if you want to ask me any fitness related things, I surely can answer those. Also, I've been investing in the stock market since 2017. I have over 6 figures in the stock market. So you can ask me anything when it comes to stocks as well. I'm probably about as good as I am with stocks as I am with MBTI. So yeah, let's do this.
Conversation with Joe.
Oh yeah, and 40% of our viewers are not subscribed. So if you guys could please subscribe, that'd be wonderful.
His second time on this podcast. He has inspired me for many years with his conversations to be a better and kinder person, and has now been doing. Charles Bukowski said something in a poem called Style about art. He defined art saying, style is the answer to everything, a fresh way to approach a dull or dangerous thing. To do a dull thing with style is preferable to doing a dangerous thing without it. To do a dangerous thing with style is what I call art. What do you think he meant by that? Do you agree with this?
A dangerous thing with style is art.
He said bullfighting can be art, boxing can be art, loving can be art. Have you ever made love and it was art? No, okay, I'm not asking.
Every time, bro.
Opening a can of sardines can be art.
I think there's something to that. Yeah, I call the way people live life art. Like I wrote a foreword to my friend Cameron Haynes' book.
Call the way that people live life art. It's talking about other people. So I'm gonna say SE right there, SENI. So I'm gonna get a point down.
And which is right now the #1 selling audiobook in the world. One of the things that I said was that he practices an art that very few people appreciate, and it's the art of the maximized life. And that the discipline that he displays in his life and through his practices and all the things that he does, it's so difficult to live the way he lives. That for someone like me who understands it and knows what he's doing and appreciates
someone who like me who understands it, so that's coming from a TIFE. That's more TI. Understand.
It and appreciates how insanely difficult it is to have a full-time job and run ultra marathons, get up at 4:00 in the morning, run a full marathon before work. Like that's the kind of shit that he does when he's training for these.
And right now he's talking about what other people are doing. That's more SE. He's talking about other people here.
40-mile runs, all the at the same time being like a father, a husband, having this full-time job, also being the best bow hunter on earth.
So he's giving a lot of outcome here. He's going outcome here. Father, best bow hunter, best this, best that, and he's coming off FE. He's giving the guy praise like crazy. FE.
Lifting weights, it's like how does a person do this?
So in a way, discipline is art too.
Yes, discipline is art. Yeah, I think it is because it's beautiful for me to see.
I think it is, T.I. I think it is. Clarify that for us.
Someone who's really truly disciplined, who like a David Goggins, someone who just like truly maximizes the
So he's name dropping here. That's T.E.
grind. I feel like there's an art to that, and there's an art to kindness. Like there's people that are really kind and really sweet, and when I'm around them, it's beautiful. It's like there's an art to them.
No matter what.
Yeah.
They got, the world can throw a
This
bunch
guy loves talking about other people. That's he.
of shit at you, but through all of that.
Some people are just great at it.
Yeah.
And it's a thing that you learn how to do. And it's pleasing for other people to see. And that, I think, is where the art is.
Well, I think Bukowski also said, and I'm just a Bukowski quote generator
It's pretty clear that this guy's SE like crazy.
today.
I love him.
I love him very much too. He's a dark and troubled and fascinating and a weird person, like Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah.
He said, what matters most is how you walk through the fire, I think. So there's a bit of the Ken Haynes in that too, David Goggins in that too. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, how you walk through the fire. I mean, you can walk through the fire complaining along the way, or you can walk through the fire and create an example for everyone else so that the trials and tribulations of their own life seem trivial because they're comparing themselves to the way you handle things, or the way you handle things with grace and dignity and discipline can show other people that they can handle their own life this way. And there's beauty in that. There really is. And there's so much inspiration to be gathered from other people. If you're a charity.
So much inspiration to be gathered from other people. That's SE. Okay, this guy's coming off the reg. Okay, he's specific, concise, and to the point. He's not extra wordy. He's not descriptive. He's not beating around the bushes. Right there for you to interpret it. So with him being direct, that eliminates 8 types. He can't be informative. So that means he is. Let's go and go to the chart here. That means all the informative types are eliminated with INFP, ENFP, INTP, ENTP, ISFJ, ESFJ, ISFP, and ESFP are all eliminated because he's direct. Okay. We're also picking up. We got enough to close out SE too. This guy's an SE user. So with him being direct in SE, that eliminates ESTJ and ISTJ. This guy has to be ESTP, ISTP, ENFJ, INFJ, and ENTJ and INTJ. Okay, so he has to be one of those 6. So we're down to already. Good job, Joe Rogan.
Charitable person. If you're charitable and compassionate, and you can look at people, even people that I don't like, I try to look at the best aspects of how they live their life.
I try to look at the best aspects of how someone lives their life. That's FE. Jesus Christ. So he's almost ready to be called a TIFE user. One more point.
And recognize those aspects, admire them, give them credit for it.
Give them
There's
credit,
something...
admire them. That's FE, man. This guy's, all right, we're done with that. So ENTJ and INTJ are both eliminated, and that's because they are TE, FI users. So they'd be talking more about their achievements, but he's more like, I like to admire other people, see what's the greatness in them. He also talks about understanding things. He also talks about what he thinks. So he's a TIFE user. So we're down to ESTP, ISTP, ENFJ, and INFJ. Is he affiliative? Is he pragmatic? Is he outcome? Is he progression? We will find out.
That we can all get out of watching the way other people live their lives.
So
Talking
I
about
got
what
a
other
chance to
people
see
doing,
you walk through the fire a
SE.
little bit, privately and publicly, this year in January. I got to ask
all
you
that
about that.
stuff?
So there's like generic conversations about sort of cancel culture and all those kinds of things. But as a human being, this to me is fascinating. Sort of there's the N-word highlight video. There's the criticism of the different guests, whatever the side is on the COVID pandemic. And there's a mass amount of attack on you. Outside of being a public persona, outside of being a comedian, podcaster, you're also a human being. So how did you survive that? How did you sort of walk through that fire? Because you seem to do it with grace.
I used mushrooms.
You got direct that is.
That was
I
one
use
way I did
mushrooms.
it.
Yeah.
Really?
What's your, as Andrew Huberman would say, what was your protocol?
I took, it was probably less than a gram every day.
Every day.
Yeah. And I did a lot of like really hard working out. But also, there's a great benefit to going through anything difficult. And if you're aware, like in advance and while and during, like anything that's going to happen that's very difficult and troubling, the great benefit is it gives you an opportunity to grow. It gives you an opportunity to express yourself under pressure, to show your character, to show who you truly are. And it gives you an opportunity to see how you handle a very difficult situation. It also was fascinating as a person that's involved in media, right? Because what we're doing right now is media, even though, it seems like podcasts seem like we're just having a conversation, right? And they are. In that sense, it's kind of the purest form of media. Because what you're doing is
Okay, that's T.I.
You're doing it without any fanfare. You're doing it without any. There's no executives looming over your head or network or big meetings about ratings or any of that stuff. But it is media. But what I got to see is the wiring under the machine of how the rest of media would try to take me out. And, they like when CNN
Wiring, you're talking about other people in Mindset.
be playing things over and over and back and forth. It was wild to watch. What was also wild to watch was people's responses. Because
More SE.
I gained 2 million subscribers during that time. Like the podcast never got bigger. It just kept growing and growing. It had never been bigger than it had been like at the end of all of it. It just made it bigger. And, ultimately, if you've fucked up in the past or made mistakes or done something wrong, that gives you an opportunity to discuss those things and to apologize if you feel the need to apologize.
Okay,
and
so
also,
what do people do who, pragmatic people, what do? They fuck up and ask for forgiveness. That's what pragmatic people do. So I'm going to put a point down for pragmatic.
to just address it. And so people under that kind of pressure, it's an opportunity for them to understand how you think about things.
Talking about allowing people to understand that's T.I.
How you actually honestly think about things. And there's no more
you
honesty
honestly think about it, that's T.I. some more.
that you get out of a person than when that person is under extreme duress. So I think in that sense, it's horrible to say that it's a benefit, that it's a good thing that it happened. But it was a benefit.
You seem to be talking about character a lot, and ESTPs like to talk about that a lot. People's character seems to be like a big fortitude of ESTPs. But we'll keep going.
Break a person?
Yes.
I've gotten the chance to experience small attacks here and there.
Yeah.
Ones that get to the core of things. Like even just talking to about Russia and Ukraine, to Stephen Hawking or Oliver Stone, looking at different perspectives, you gain for me, feeling like a sizable number of people who really don't like you.
Yeah.
And say things about you that are that may be cut deep for a reason I don't understand why. It's just my own psychology.
Well, it's also because you can't defend yourself, because they're saying it and you're not there, and you don't have any opportunity for a rebuttal. And if you do have a rebuttal, you're doing it publicly and you're opening it up to the whole world to chime in. And there's a general tendency that people have towards negativity when they're interacting with strangers online, especially about controversial subjects. And even if it's only 10% of the people, it's 1 out of 10. That's a lot. That's a lot of negativity when you're dealing with thousands and thousands of tweets.
Yeah, and I think
Very
maybe I'm
matter of
just a
fact.
very self-critical person, but I hear their words and I probably somewhere deep inside see the truth in the criticism, in some aspect of the criticism, and that's why it hurts.
Well, it's in one aspect of you,
Right.
you know, but when you're reading it, it's so, it's boiled down to this one thing, as if that one thing defines you totally. Like if you've made a mistake, if you've said something that you shouldn't have said, or if you said something and, you know, maybe you should have considered it more carefully, given the gravity of the situation, you know, that's just a part of being a person. And it's also part of being a person where you're communicating with things publicly in real time, thinking out loud, which is what we do. You know, it's complex and most people don't do it. And you're going to have genuine hot takes where people just see what you said and go, why did he say that? Fuck him. You know, he doesn't know anything about, he doesn't live in Ukraine. He, you know, it's like there's people that are going to have takes on that in that way. And then there's also going to be these disingenuous people who just use any kind of controversial topic or subject as an opportunity for them to get clicks or views.
But that,
I could say that's going in the umbrella of interests of people. Seems to understand the interests of people, but ESTPs, ISTPs, ENFJs, and INFJs are both interest focused. So we need to figure out, is he pragmatic or is he affiliative? I think Joe Rogan's pragmatic, but let's keep going.
the number of those people can be quite large.
Quite large.
And so going back to, do you think it can destroy a person? Because I kind of worry about this, and you're, in many ways, but in this way, an inspiration, that it didn't seem to have destroyed you. But
I kept doing shows. I kept doing stand-up.
He's initiating. Initiating, that's one.
I ignored everything. I didn't read any of it.
I didn't read any of it. I kept going. I kept making shows outcome, end product. He's talking about the end product.
It is possible to just
100%. Yes. Yeah. I ignored it all.
But you have,
I knew it was there.
like your family didn't bring it up.
He's not talking about doing the right thing. I'm gonna put that for pragmatic.
My family was very, very aware of it. My wife was aware of it.
What was the conversation like? If your wife is aware of it, is there like a rule? Don't pretend it's not happening.
No.
Just like what?
Well, I tell her, don't ever read
Pass the
articles.
So he initiated there again.
green beans.
I don't ever let her like read negative articles to me. You know, I don't want them. I don't care. I go, that's a person's opinion. You take a person's opinion, you write it down.
I don't care about a person's opinion because I have what? T-critic. I don't care about your damn opinion.
Doesn't give it any more relevance. Like that person, you know, could have had that opinion in silence. They could have had
Boy,
it with
he's just zoo somebody with T-critic, boy. That T-critic is something else.
some friends at dinner. They don't like me, whatever. I don't want to read it. I don't want to absorb it. I don't even know them, especially if I'm not there. And especially if it's some biased and it's not an objective opinion of me. It's this, you know, they have a narrative.
Literally just, and they have a narrative that's interest. He is literally destroying any information, outside information with T-critic right now. And that's what you find yourself into when you're dealing with an ENTP or ESTP. Bring them an opinion or something you read and get ready to be under attack.
And they want to stick to that narrative and they want to write an article and they piece it all together, make you look like a piece of shit. And that's their prerogative. They're completely allowed to do that. But I shouldn't absorb that. I shouldn't take that in. You're not supposed to be taking in the opinion of the world.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be taking in the opinion of small groups of people that you encounter so that you get an understanding of how you
get
make
an
them feel.
understanding of how you make them feel. That's TIFE and more FE. That's TI and then that was FE on top of it.
And then maybe you say to yourself, maybe I come across too rude, or maybe I come across too insensitive, or maybe I could do better in this way or that way. That's how we sort of shape our personalities, and that's how we develop our social skills. But when the people don't know you and they have this like distorted narrative of you, and there's fucking millions of people. There's so many people. You can't
I think there's billions now, actually.
I mean, millions of people that are like communicating about something. Like during the height of the
So I'm gonna go ahead and eliminate ENFJ and INFJ. He's coming off concrete. Okay. He's coming off very concrete here. This is between ESTP and ISTP. We got more outcome, and we got pragmatic, we got interest, and we got initiating. So it's looking like he's an ESTP, and personality database might be right for 2 people in a row. Surprise, surprise.
Attempt to cancel me or whatever that is.
But I want people to really sit back and understand what a real fucking ESTP is, and compare him to Donald fucking Trump. You see ESTPs talking about how other people feel. Donald Trump never talks about how other people fucking feel.
How many people were involved in that?
People take this kind of stuff seriously, but the problem is the false narratives take hold, and then you have meetings, you have groups, it builds on top of each other, and there's this outrage, and then it reaches you at some point, and it can just have these destructive effects. And it
can, but it also
just initiated again on the poor guy. Damn, Joe, you gonna let him finish or what?
Sometimes doesn't, and in my case, it didn't. It didn't work.
What lessons did you draw from that? Mushrooms, exercise?
Mushrooms and exercise. Exercise is critical. I don't think the mushrooms by themselves would have worked. But that's the thing that I use for everything is the brutal exercise. Like, my exercise routines are horrible. And because of that, everything else is easier. I create my own bullshit. And my own bullshit is so much harder. And it's not just that. It's also sauna and cold plunge and these torture sessions.
End product. Also, he's talking about working out and just going in there and killing himself. Most people who do stuff like that are just outcome focused. They just go in and work out, just looking for a generalized outcome. Yeah.
Enduring those, when you endure those, it makes enduring other things much easier. And it's also an understanding of what's happening. Like, you have to know, like, media. You have to understand, like, what the hot take, YouTube, social media, podcast, ecosphere is doing. Like, if they're talking about, Lex Friedman said this, and we have to comment on that, and, Lex gets canceled in all capital letters on a YouTube clip. And if you watch that, you're fucking crazy. What are you doing? Absorbing all this negativity? It's not good for you. You are you. You know you. And you know generally if you've made a mistake. And you know generally if people are upset with you.
You posted this awesome video on your Instagram of a woman who was being interviewed in the late 1920s, maybe?
Yes, yeah.
And she's close to 100 years old. So she's lived through the Civil War, through World War I. She was at the time living through the early days of the Great Depression. So I was just looking back, what have we as a human civilization in recent times survived, especially in the United States? You're talking about the 2 world wars in the 20th century, the Great Depression, the Spanish flu, the pandemic at the beginning of the 20th century.
Yeah.
What do we do in the United States? 9/11? If you think of what are the traumatic events that shook our world, it's 9/11. It made us rethink our place in the world. The pandemic.
Pandemic is a huge one.
One
of the bigger ones, because it also really accelerated and exacerbated our anxiety, which people have a certain level of anxiety already, especially sedentary people. They have a very high level of anxiety already because I don't think they're giving their body what it needs. I don't think your body has certain requirements in terms of movement, and when you deny your body those requirements, I think there's like a general level of anxiety that exists in almost everyone. And then you have people obviously that have mental health issues.
Okay.
And that also
that's outcome too. Okay, this guy is outcome. Okay. Joe Rogan's an ESTP, personality database actually got it right. What we noticed early on about Joe here, Mr. Rogan, was that Joe was direct. Okay, it was pretty easy to see that he's specific, concise, and to the point. Then he says so many SE statements that you could feel off a board very quickly with him. So we noticed he was an SENI user, okay, and he's a TIFE user. He goes off his own thinking. He understands how people feel. He's more into empathy, that type of thing. He talks about that. So that makes him direct, SENI, TIFE. So that would make him down to the 4 types: ESTP, ISTP, ENFJ, and INFJ. Joe Rogan is initiating and he's outcome. So if he's initiating or outcome, that means he's extrovert. So that eliminates ISTP and INFJ. So you'd be down to ESTP and ENFJ. And Joe Rogan is concrete, and that would just nail him at ESTP. And he's also pragmatic. He's not talking about doing what's right. He's basically owning up the mistakes he's had. And who does that? Pragmatic people. So Joe Rogan is an ESTP. This is Mongolian Mindset, and we're out. You guys have a great day.